Yeah, good morning students. Today I am going to start a new chapter, that is proton NMR spectroscopy. It is one of the unit in the fourth paper of your first semester. Proton NMR spectroscopy. Now, similar to other spectroscopic technique, now proton NMR spectroscopy is one of the spectroscopic technique which help us to construct a skeleton of a unknown molecules. That is, with the help of proton NMR spectroscopy, by the study of number of protons present and their nature and nature of the protons present in a molecule, we can construct its skeleton. So we know the construction of skeleton is very important for construction of a structure of a molecule in a proper way. So that is the use of proton NMR spectroscopy. Now coming to the principle involved. The principle or introduction involved in the proton NMR spectroscopy. The proton NMR spectroscopy or NMR spectroscopy involved a transition of a nuclear spin from its lower energy level to the higher energy level. Say this is the lower energy level, a nuclear spin, a transition to higher energy level. So transition of a nuclear spin of an atom present in a molecule from its lower spin state or lower energy level to the higher energy level. Now, how it is achieved? By the absorption of radio frequency energy. By the absorption of radio frequency radiation, that is, a nuclei present in an atom of a molecule, by the absorption of radio frequency energy, it will induce to be undergo its spin transition from the lower energy level to the state of higher energy level, that is higher spin state. So once the molecule is absorbed energy, then it resulted the spectrum. It resulted the spectrum, which is called as NMR spectrum. NMR spectrum. So you can see a nuclei of an atom undergo spin transition from lower energy level to the higher energy level by the absorption of radio frequency energy by only the spin active nuclei. Spin active nuclei. By the absorption of only spin active nuclei when we keep the whole molecule into an external magnetic field. This is external magnetic field. External magnetic field. So this is a brief principle of proton NMR spectroscopy. You can easily understand that. Now this is one of the molecule where the molecule consisted of different kinds of atoms. Each and every atom has its own nuclei. What is molecule? Molecule is a composition of different atoms. So each and every atom has its own nuclei. Now the nuclear spin undergo spin transition from lower energy level to the higher energy by the absorption of radio frequency energy, radio frequency radiation by the spin active nuclei if present in a molecule. When we keep the whole molecule under the external magnetic field. So when we keep external magnetic field, it absorbed energy and then undergo spin transition. Once the energy is absorbed by the molecule, we know a resultant of the spectrum. Now in this case, where the spectrum, the energy is absorbed by the spin active nuclei, when we apply certain amount of external magnetic field or when we keep the whole molecule into an external magnetic field, therefore The spectrum whatever resulted in this case is called as nuclear magnetic resonance. So it is characterized due to the spin of nuclei and kept under the magnetic field. Therefore it is called as nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. Now this spectrum helps us to predict the nature of the sample molecule as well as to construct its skeleton that we can learn in the part of application. Now coming to the principle, where you can observe, we have a molecule, say unknown molecule. Again a molecule is a composition of different elements or different atoms. So each and every atom have their own nuclei. Now in this case, energy is absorbed by only spin active nuclei, not the nuclei of all atoms. Are you following? There are n number of atoms present in a molecule, unknown molecule, where each and every atom has their own nuclei. There is a question whether the energy is absorbed by all the nuclei of all atoms. No. Energy is absorbed only by the spin active nuclei of an atom present in a molecule. Not all the nuclei corresponds to all atoms. So this is one question. Why energy is absorbed only by the spin active nuclei? Later we will discuss. Next, again energy is absorbed by spin active nuclei only when we keep the molecule in the external magnetic field. Are you following? This is second question. Why? First question is, why only spin active nuclei are absorbed energy? The second doubt raised that why energy is absorbed only when we apply certain amount of external magnetic field to the molecule. The third question is, why only radio frequency energy is absorbed by the molecule among all other frequencies present in an electromagnetic spectrum, which we will discuss it in the first lecture. So why energy is absorbed, why only radio frequency energy is absorbed by the molecule. Instead there are different wavelengths or different energies are available in our electromagnetic spectrum, like radio frequency, microwave, IR, UV, visible, X-ray, gamma ray, cosmic ray, etc. So this is the third doubt. First doubt is, why only spin active nuclei? Why the energy absorbed only when we keep under external magnetic field? Why only radio frequency is observed by the nuclei to undergo spin transition? So these are the three doubts raised while we studying the principle of proton NMR spectrum. Let us discuss each and other, each in detail. First, spin active nuclei. Now coming to spin active nuclei. Now a nuclei of an atom consisting of neutrons and protons. Neutrons and protons. Okay, a nuclei of an atom, each and every atom consisting of both neutrons and protons. Due to spin, a nuclei, say for example this is the nuclei, it is under spinning. When a nuclei spins, are you following? Inside the nuclei you have a molecule, n number of atoms attached to that, where each and every every atom has its own nuclei. The nuclei inside the atom is under spinning motion, which further consisting inside a neutrons and protons, that we know. Due to spinning of a nuclei when spins around its vertical axis, whatever the neutrons present inside the nuclei as well as protons present inside the nuclei also spins. Say these are the neutrons spinning. Now, along with the nuclei, the inside particles of neutrons and protons also spins around their vertical axes. Neutrons are spinning as well as protons are also spins around their vertical axes. When a neutrons and protons are spinning around their vertical axis, they acquire or they will have certain some value of angular momentum. They may acquire a value for an angular momentum. Angular momentum. Now, angular momentum. Similar to the proton, a neutrons will also have a value for an angular momentum. Both may acquire certain angular momentum value. Now, the angular momentum value associated with all the neutrons present in the nuclei as well as the angular momentum value of all the protons are associated with all the protons existed in the nuclei. The value is collectively called as nuclear spin quantum number, which is represented with capital I. Nuclear spin quantum number. Nuclear spin quantum number. Quantum number, which is denoted with a capital I. What is nuclear spin quantum number? Nuclear spin quantum number is a collective value of angular momentum of all the protons and all the neutrons present in the molecule. Are you following? So this is I. This is about nuclear spin quantum number I. Further, any nuclei whose nuclear spin quantum number, that is I, is not equal to 0. Any nuclei, you have a nuclei with a nuclear spin quantum number. Any nuclei with a nuclear spin quantum number, that is I, is not equal to 0. Is not equal to 0 are known as spin active nuclei. Spin active nuclei. Spin active nuclei. Now we can define in another way. Any nuclei which consisting of odd ratio of protons and neutrons always has its spin quantum number not equal to 0. Any nuclei with a ratio of odd ratio of neutrons and protons has a I value not equal to 0. Such kind of nuclei are called as spin active nuclei. Example, we may consider a nuclei of proton or a nuclei of carbon, a nuclei of fluorine, a nuclei of 31 phosphorus, etc. Now you can see a nuclei of proton or carbon or fluorine or like phosphorus 31. These are the first heavier isotope, carbon first heavier isotope. Now these kind of nuclei have a neutron proton ratio in odd number. Odd number. Now these nuclei have the I value. I is equal to either plus or half or either minus half. Either plus half or minus half. Therefore, you can see these nuclei consisting of odd ratio in of the proton and neutrons. Therefore, further, these four kind of nuclei have their I value, spin quantum number value, which is either plus half or minus half. That is, in this case, I is not equal to 0. Now, these kind of nuclei are called as spin active nuclei. Spin active nuclei. Now the other nuclei. the other nuclei whose I value is 0. The other nuclei whose nuclear spin quantum number I if becomes 0, where now when the nuclei consist of a ratio of neutron to proton, if it is even number, even ratio of neutrons and protons if existed inside the nuclei, there is a net I value becomes 0. Now these nuclei are called as spin active nuclei. These nuclei are called as spin active nuclei. Say for example, you have carbon 12 carbon, where I is equal to 0. Now these kind of nuclei are called as spin active nuclei. Now we have discussed about spin active nuclei and spin inactive nuclei in brief. The I value if not equal to 0 are said to be spin active. If I value becomes 0 are said to spin inactive nuclei. Now we will discuss further. Now we have discussed about only spin active nuclei absorbed energy. Therefore we could consider only spin active nuclei. Spin active nuclei. Where I is not equal to 0. That means there is a net spin. Say for example, you take a nuclei of proton. A nuclei of proton. Say this is proton nuclei. Now this is vertical axis. Now it spins around its vertical axis. This is nuclear spin. A nuclear spin. This is circulating electron cloud. Circulating electron cloud. Circulating electron cloud. Now we could consider a spin active nuclei where I is not equal to 0. For the study purpose, we have considered a nuclei of proton. Say this is the diagram, say related to nuclei of proton, where we can observe a nuclei is spinning because it is a spin active. Proton nuclei is a spin active, therefore it is spinning around its vertical axis. When nuclei is spinning around its vertical axis, whatever the electron present in the proton, which will also circulate around the nuclei, called as circulating electron cloud. Now under this condition, a spin active nuclei, because of spinning or rotation equally towards a clockwise direction as well as towards anti-clockwise direction. Are you following? A nuclei may be spinning in equally towards a clockwise direction as well as towards anti-clockwise direction. That means a clockwise rotating nuclei energy become equal to energy of anti-clockwise rotating nuclei. Are you following? So we have considered a spin active nuclei where it is under spinning motion, that we can present it in the diagrammatic form. That is a nuclei, we can imagine a nuclei may be spun towards anti-clockwise direction, or it may be spinning towards a clockwise direction, anti-clockwise or clockwise direction. Equally, there is a probability to rotate the nuclei equally towards clockwise, towards anti-clockwise direction. That means energy of clockwise rotating nuclei become equal to energy of anti-clockwise rotating nuclei. Therefore, a spinning nuclei have a degenerated energy state. Why it has a degenerated energy state? Because energy of clockwise rotating become equal to energy of anti-clockwise rotating nuclei. Under that condition, it has a degenerated energy state. Degenerated energy state. I can present again. Say we are studying about a nuclei of proton. Say this is nuclei, a spinning nuclei, a spinning nuclei, circulating electron cloud, circulating electron cloud. Now you can see where I is equal to plus or minus 1 by 2. Now under this condition, just now we discussed, under this condition a nuclei has a degenerated energy state corresponding to spin quantum number I is equal to either plus half or minus half. Is it clear? Now you can see under this condition, is there any possibility of absorption of radio frequency? No, because the energy is degenerated, a state is degenerated. Is it clear? Further, now this is a spin active nuclei. There is a general statement: any spinning charged particle is capable of producing its own magnetic field. In the same way, our nuclei is a spin active nuclei and also associated with a charge. Therefore, similar to charged particle, a spin active nuclei is also able to produce certain amount of own magnetic field, which is called as induced magnetic field or secondary magnetic field. Induced or secondary magnetic field. So similar to charged particle, our spin active, whatever the nuclei under study is also belongs to spin active. That means it is also under spinning motion and also associated with the charge which is circulating around the nuclei along with the nuclear spin. Therefore, a spin active nuclei is also able to generate certain amount of some extent of magnetic field. This is called as induced magnetic field, or sometimes it may called as secondary magnetic field. Now you can see we have a molecule which consisting of a protons, where the nuclei of a proton is a spin active. It is spinning around its vertical axis along with the circulating electron cloud and generated magnetic field, certain extent of own magnetic field, that is secondary magnetic field. Now here, just now we discussed, here the nuclei may be circulated clockwise or anti-clockwise. Hence it has a degenerated energy state. Now if you supply, under this condition, if you supply radio frequency to this, is there a possibility to absorb energy? No, because there is a degenerated energy state. It never absorb. Therefore, now when we apply certain amount of external magnetic field, or when we keep whole this molecule into external magnetic field, where external magnetic field is represented with H0, external magnetic field. Now H0, external, it may call as either external magnetic field or applied magnetic field, because we are externally applying. Therefore it may also called as external magnetic field. Now you can see when we keep whole the molecule under external magnetic field, what happens? There is a repulsions. Now the second external magnetic field, when we apply to the spinning nuclei, there is a repulsions developed between the magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei, that is induced magnetic field, and the magnetic field which we are applied to the spinning nuclei. There is some kind of repulsions. So once we apply external magnetic field to the spinning nuclei, the magnetic field already existed inside the nuclei, will repel the magnetic field which we are applied to the spinning nuclei. So a repulsions between magnetic field, secondary magnetic field, and the magnetic field which we are applied. So that cause, the repulsions may causes change in the energy of clockwise rotating nuclei from anti-clockwise rotating nuclei. Now you can observe, before applying external magnetic field to the spinning nuclei, a nuclei may be equally spun around towards clockwise and towards anti-clockwise. That means energies of both rotating nuclei have the same energy, hence the degenerated. When we apply certain amount of external magnetic field, or when we keep the molecule under external magnetic field, there is a repulsions are developed between the induced magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei and the magnetic field which we are applied. So that may causes, the repulsions may causes to be changed the energy of clockwise rotating nuclei into anti-clockwise rotating nuclei. Therefore, the degenerated energy state of a spinning nuclei is split into energy levels. Before, both have same energies, hence degenerated. Now when we apply external magnetic field to the spinning nuclei, the energy of clockwise rotating nuclei become different from the energy of anti-clockwise rotating nuclei. Hence the degenerated energy state is split into energy levels. The number of energy levels will be given by 2i plus 1 rule. 2i plus 1 rule. Is it clear? Under the application of external magnetic field, degenerated energy state of a nuclei is split into energy levels. How many energy levels? That can be according to 2i plus 1 rule, where I is equal to, in the 2i plus 1 rule, where I is equal to a spin quantum number of nuclei under study. Now here we are studying regarding the proton nuclei, where the proton nuclei associated with the spin quantum number of I is equal to either plus or minus of. Let us calculate. 2 into 1 by 2. 2 into, this is I value of proton, 1 by 2 plus 1. That become 2. So a proton nuclei, under the application of external magnetic field, its degenerated energy state is split into two energy levels. Like this. Higher energy level and lower energy level. This is lower energy level and this is higher energy level of a nuclei. The lower energy level corresponds to I is equal to minus half. Spin quantum number I is equal to minus half, and the higher energy nuclei corresponds to I is equal to plus half. So there are two energy levels produced for a proton according to 2i plus 1 rule. 2i plus 1 rule. One energy level is a lower, which may be corresponds to spin quantum number of I is equal to minus half. The other level will be corresponds to higher, with the high I value, spin quantum number I is equal to plus half. Now, the energy difference between these two, that is delta E. Energy difference between the two energy level, lower and higher energy level of a nuclei, that is delta E, is equal to energy of radio frequency energy. So the energy difference, whatever existed between the lower and higher energy level of a nuclei, that is delta E, is equal to exactly energy of radio frequency energy. Therefore, it produced the spectrum called as NMR spectrum. Spectrum generated from this principle or this technique is called as NMR spectrum. Let us discuss once again the principle, what we discussed in the starting. Let us. The NMR spectroscopy involved a transition of a nuclear spin from lower level to the higher level. This is transition. transition of a nuclear spin from lower energy level to higher energy level by the absorption of radio frequency energy by the spin active nuclei when we keep it into external magnetic field. Is it clear? Now, if it is a spin active nuclei, only for a spin active nuclei is able to produce secondary magnetic or induced magnetic field. Thereby, when we apply external magnetic field, there may be possibility to repel these two magnetic fields each other. That causes splitting of degenerated energy state into two energy levels. There is a possibility of transition by the absorption of radio frequency because the energy required for this transition is exactly related to the energy of radio frequency radiation, hence absorbed RF energy. Then it will induce to be undergo spin transition from lower energy level to higher energy level. Now, if this nuclei is spin inactive, you may imagine if this nuclei is spin inactive, that is the net spin is 0. When the net spin is 0, there is no possibility of generating an induced or secondary magnetic field. Only when the nuclei spins around its vertical axis is able to produce this magnetic field. When this is spin inactive, or when the net spin of a nuclei is 0, not able to generate its own magnetic field, that is induced magnetic field or secondary magnetic field. Now, even we apply external magnetic field to that system, there may not be repulsions because there is no secondary magnetic field in the case of spin inactive nuclei. So there may not be possible to repel each other as the secondary or induced magnetic field is absent. So under that condition, the degenerated energy state remain degenerated. There may not possible to be split the degenerated energy state into the energy levels. When it is not possible to split degenerated energy into energy levels, may not be possible to absorb energy to undergo spin transition from one level to the higher level. Therefore, in the NMR spectrum, energy is absorbed only by spin active nuclei. That too, when we keep it into external magnetic field, because external magnetic field is required to split degeneration into energy levels. Therefore, a spin active nuclei under the conditions of external magnetic field absorbed radio frequency radiation and induced to be undergo spin transition from the nuclei of lower energy level to the nuclei of higher energy level by the absorption of radio frequency, as the energy difference is exactly equal to radio frequency energy. Is it clear? Now, once the molecule absorbed energy, we will get a spectrum. In this case, it is called as NMR spectrum, nuclear magnetic resonance spectrum. This is the general principle applicable for all the spin active nuclei. Now, depending upon the nuclei under study, NMR spectrum may be named. For example, if the nuclei belongs to proton, it is called as proton NMR spectrum. If the nuclei belongs to carbon, it is called as carbon NMR spectrum. If it belongs to fluorine or phosphorus, the spectrum generated may be called as fluorine NMR spectroscopy or phosphorus NMR spectroscopy. So depending upon the nuclei under study, the NMR may be belongs to either proton or carbon or phosphorus or any other spin active nuclei. Is it clear? So this is about a principle of proton NMR spectroscopy. Now, further, let us move to further energies of now let us shift to the further topic, energy of nuclear levels. Energy of nuclear levels. Now say this is degenerated energy state of a nuclei where I is equal to plus or minus 1/2. a spinning nuclei, secondary magnetic field, external magnetic field. Just now we have discussed in the principle. So this is degenerated energy state under the conditions of absence of external magnetic field. Now in the presence of external magnetic field, it will be split into two energy levels, where I is equal to minus half, where I is equal to plus half, minus half and plus half. Now you can see, coming to the energies. So there are two energy levels produced for a proton according to 2i plus 1 rule. Now coming to energy of each level for a nuclei. Now energy of lower energy level is represented with E1. Energy of higher energy level is represented with E2. Now a nuclei of an atom, if present in the lower energy level, its energy, that is E1, will be equal to extent of secondary magnetic field. It is E1 energy, the nuclei, the energy of nuclei present in the lower energy level, that is E1, will be equal to or corresponding to extent of secondary magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei, this magnetic field. Secondary minus secondary magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei, as well as the extent of external magnetic field which we are applied to the spinning nuclei to split its degenerated energy state into the energy levels. Are you following? The energy associated with the nuclei present in the lower energy level, that is E1, is equal to extent of secondary magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei to that of extent of external magnetic field which we are applied, that is minus nu H0. E1 is equal to minus nu H0. Similarly, energy associated with the nuclei existed in the higher energy level is E2. It is equal to plus the magnetic field produced, extent of magnetic field produced by a spinning nuclei to that of the extent of magnetic field which we are externally applied. So E1 is equal to minus nu H0, E2 is equal to plus nu H0. The difference between the two levels, that is delta E. Difference between the two levels of a nuclei, that is delta E. So we have energy for lower level as well as energy for higher level. Let us calculate. Now we have an equation, that is delta E is equal to E2 minus E1. Say this is 1. E2 minus E1. We have E2 value as well as E1 value studied in the principle. Therefore, substituting E2 value and as well as E1 value in the equation 1, you can see delta E is equal to E2 value plus nu H0, magnetic field produced by a nuclei of higher level to that of the extent of magnetic field externally applied, minus, this is E2 value, minus nu H0, where this is corresponding to E1 value, that is a nuclei of lower level, magnetic field produced by its own to that of the extent of magnetic field which we are applied externally. So the whole become delta E is equal to 2 nu H0. Say this is second equation, 2 nu H0. That is, there are two nuclear energy levels. The energy difference between those two nuclear energy levels, that is delta E, is equal to 2 into secondary magnetic field produced by spinning nuclei to that of the magnetic field which we are externally applied. Delta E is equal to 2 nu H0. Further, we know delta E is equal to H nu. Delta E is also equal to H nu. Is it clear? Let us substitute delta E value. Let us substitute delta E value. What happens? You can see this is the delta E value 2 nu H0, that is 2 nu H0 is equal to R. We can write it as H nu is equal to 2 nu into H0. So you can see this is delta E value 2 nu H0, where delta E is equal to H nu, or we can write it as substituting delta E value. H nu is equal to 2 nu H0. H nu is equal to 2 nu H0, or it may also be written as nu is equal to 2 into secondary magnetic field produced into H0 divided by H. We can get this equation where nu is equal to this value, delta E value 2 nu H0 divided by H. This equation, this is the third equation. This equation is called as classical NMR equation. NMR equation. Classical NMR equation. You can see delta E is equal to E2 minus E1. We have both values. Just now we have studied. That is delta E is substituting both E2 and E1 value. Delta E is equal to plus nu H0 minus nu H0. It become delta E is equal to 2 nu H0. We have a another formula, delta E is equal to H nu. Substituting delta E value in this equation, that become H nu is equal to 2 nu H0. It may also written as nu is equal to 2 nu H0 divided by H. So we will get one equation called as NMR equation, classical mechanics. That is, the equation can be derived from classical mechanics, hence it is called as classical equation of NMR. Now in this, now in the equation you can see where nu is equal to absorption frequency. Nu is equal to absorption frequency, or a frequency absorbed by the spinning nuclei, where this value nu is equal to induced magnetic field or secondary magnetic field produced by spinning nuclei. Now coming to H0. H0 is equal to external magnetic field. External magnetic field which we are applied to spinning nuclei. Now coming to H value. H belongs to Planck constant. H belongs to Planck constant. So absorption frequency is equal to secondary magnetic field produced by spinning nuclei into external magnetic field which we are applied, its extent, and H value is a Planck constant. So this equation may be used for the calculation of a energy absorbed by a proton nuclei. Absorption frequency of a proton nuclei is equal to secondary magnetic field produced by a proton nuclei into extent of magnetic field which we are applied to proton nuclei divided by a Planck constant. Then we will get a absorption frequency for a proton. Now in this equation you can observe the two factors where now in this equation the secondary magnetic field produced by a particular nuclei is always constant. A secondary magnetic field produced by a particular nuclei is always constant. For example, you have CH3, CH2, OH, ethyl alcohol. Now a secondary magnetic field produced by CH3 proton. The CH3 group contain a proton. The CH2 group also contains the proton. Now in both cases the nuclei belongs to similar atoms. So a particular atom or particular nuclei, it is constant. It is constant. The secondary magnetic field produced by a particular nuclei is constant. In the first group there is a proton, in the second group there is also a proton. That is the meaning of particular nuclei. So in both the groups a nuclei belongs to a proton. That means it is a particular nuclei. So a magnetic field, say for example we have two protons. A secondary, now first proton spins around its vertical axis, second proton also spins around its vertical axis. What happens? Magnetic field is produced in both cases. The extent of magnetic field produced by first proton due to its spin is the same to that of the magnetic field, secondary magnetic field produced by the second proton due to its spin. So in both cases the magnetic fields are, the extent of magnetic fields are same. That means it is constant. Now you take one nuclei as proton, the other nuclei as carbon. A nuclei of proton due to spin produced magnetic field, secondary magnetic field of its own. A nuclei of carbon due to spin, it also produced certain amount of extent of magnetic field of its own. Now in this case, the extent of magnetic field produced by a proton nuclei due to its spin is different from the extent of magnetic field produced by a nuclei of carbon. It is not constant. But in the first case, where there are two protons, the magnetic field, extent of secondary magnetic field is constant. Is it clear? And H value, Planck constant, the value of Planck constant is also constant. These two factors are constant. This is constant. This is also constant. Are you following? When these two values are constant, the absorption frequency depending upon the extent of applied magnetic field or external magnetic field. That means when the secondary field as well as Planck constant, both the values are constant, what happens? The absorption frequency of a nuclei depends upon the extent of external magnetic field which we are applied. That means absorption frequency is directly proportional to H0. H0. Is it clear? That is, a absorption frequencies by the nuclei is directly proportional to H0. Further, the absorption frequency when directly proportional to or depends upon the strength of external magnetic field. Let us discuss further the extent of external magnetic field to be applied to the proton to the nuclei depends upon electron density around the nuclei. That is, H0 is directly proportional to electron density. Are you following? Let us again discuss. When absorption frequency of a nuclei is directly or depends upon external magnetic field, then what extent of external magnetic field to be applied to the spinning nuclei depends upon electron density around the nuclei. That is, the external magnetic field application is also directly proportional to electron density. If a nuclei has high electron density, if any nuclei with higher electron density, the value of external magnetic field is more. The application of external magnetic field to the nuclei corresponding to high electron density is more, then its absorption frequency is also more. Are you following? High electron density If a spin active nuclei associated with high electron density, it require higher external magnetic field. It require higher extent of application of applied magnetic field. Therefore, we can write it as like this. So, absorption frequencies of a nucleus are depends upon external magnetic field. The external magnetic field is further depends upon electron density around the nuclei. If electron density is more, the application of H0 is more, absorption frequency is also more. If electron density around the proton or nuclei is less, the extent of application of external magnetic field to that kind of nuclei is also less. Absorption frequencies are also less. Are you following? So according to this principle, the absorption frequency of a nuclei of high electron density is more when compared with the absorption frequency of a nuclei associated with lower electron density. Let us discuss why this is happen. Say we have to consider a nuclei. Say this is the nuclei, spins around its vertical axis, spins around its vertical axis. Now you can see, if this nuclei belongs to higher electron density, high electron density, high electron density. Now when the electron density is more, the extent of magnetic field produced by this nuclei is also more secondary magnetic field. So depending upon the electron density, now this magnetic field induced or secondary magnetic field is produced only when an electron cloud circulated around the nuclei. That means if a nuclei associated with high electron density, the extent of magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei is also more. Now the magnetic field is more in this case. Now we have to apply external magnetic field. We have to apply external magnetic field, that is H0. Now when the extent of magnetic field produced, own magnetic field produced by spinning nuclei is more, then we have to apply more external magnetic field in order to appropriate repulsions between these two. Now more magnetic field is required. Are you following? It is a simple phenomenon. A nuclei of high electron density is able to produce more extent of secondary magnetic field. When the secondary magnetic field, extent of secondary magnetic field is more, we have to apply more external magnetic field in order to appropriately repel the both magnetic fields. More repulsions. As secondary magnetic field is more, applied magnetic field is more, the repulsions whatever existed between these two kind of magnetic fields are also more. Now coming to its degenerated energy state, which is plus I is equal to plus or minus 1 by 2. Now you can see degenerated energy state of a nuclei is split into energy level only because of repulsions between these two. Without the repulsion, that means before application of external magnetic field, the degenerated energy state remain degenerated. When we apply certain amount of external magnetic field, then it will be split into energy levels that we observed in the principle. So the degenerated energy state is split into energy level because of application of external magnetic field. When the nuclei associated with high electron density, the extent of secondary magnetic field is more because high electron, so magnetic field is produced due to circulating electron cloud along with the nuclear spin. When the electron cloud is more circulated, electron density is more, the extent of magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei is also more. In that case, we have to apply more extent of external magnetic field, in order to exist an appropriate repulsions between the two magnetic fields, thereby the degenerated energy state is split into, here in this case, a nuclei with high electron density where more repulsions, more extent of repulsions are existed between the two magnetic fields. Therefore, the degenerated energy state of those kind of nuclei are split into energy levels by the large difference. Say this is degenerated energy state. If there are more repulsions between secondary and external magnetic field, then the degenerated energy state is split into energy level by the large difference. The difference between the two energy level is high. Higher difference is existed. High. When the energy difference between the two levels are high, delta E, this kind of nuclei, for their spin transition, are you following? So degenerated energy state is split into the two energy levels by the larger difference. The difference between the two energy levels is too high because of higher repulsions, which may in terms resulted due to the higher magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei, as well as the higher extent of magnetic field which we are externally applied, so that the difference is large. In those cases, you can observe, for the spin transition by the lower spin state nuclei, in order to undergo to the higher spin state, it requires more energy. Energy required is more for the spin transition as the energy difference is more. So more energy is required. So more energy is required. Therefore, a nuclei with higher electron density absorb more energy. That means higher frequencies are absorbed. The frequency is high. High frequency is absorbed. You can see the high electron density requires higher external magnetic field and higher absorption frequencies. Now we have just now studied the relation, that is absorption frequency is directly proportional to H0. The H0 in terms directly proportional to electron density. Electron density. When electron density is more, H0 is more, absorption frequency is also more. Is it clear? Now this is the case. Now if the nuclei, this is the nuclei, has lower electron density. If a nuclei associated with low electron density, due to spin, it produced secondary magnetic field of low extent. Low secondary magnetic field. Are you following? If electron density is less, the secondary magnetic field produced by the spinning nuclei is also lower or less. Now when the extent of secondary magnetic field is less or lower, it requires lower extent of application of or less. So when secondary magnetic field is less, the application of external magnetic field also become less. Now when these two extents, secondary and external magnetic field extents are less or lower in value, what happens? The repulsions are less. Less repulsions are existed between these two kinds of magnetic field. When the repulsions are less, the degenerated energy state is split into energy level, however, but by the smaller distance. When the repulsions are higher between these two, the degenerated energy state is split into higher difference or larger difference. When the repulsions between these two are less, the degenerated energy state is split into the energy level by the smaller difference. The difference is less. You can see this is lower, this is higher, where I is equal to minus half, where I is equal to plus half. You can see in the first case, you can compare with the first case, to that of the second one. Now here the difference, energy difference between these two is lower, delta E, as when the repulsions are less, degenerated energy state is split into the two energy level, but by the smaller difference, where the delta E is shorter or smaller in the extent. Now in this case, these nuclei, for their spin transition from this level to this level, they require lesser energy. As delta E is low, energy difference between the two energy level when it is low, such kind of nuclei for their spin transition require less energy, hence absorbed lower frequency. Low frequency absorbed. Low frequency is absorbed. You can see. Are you following? So the relation, you can again define the relation. Absorption frequency is directly proportional to external magnetic field, which in terms directly proportional to electron density. Is it clear? Now when electron density is low, extent of external magnetic field is low, absorption frequency is also low. When electron density is more, extent of H0 is more, absorption frequency is also more. For example, you can take CH3, CH2, Cl, ethyl chloride. Now, the three protons of CH3 group are same with respect to their electron density. Are you following? The three protons existed in the CH3 group with respect to electron density are same. Say this is A, group A. The two protons present in the CH2 with respect to electron density, these two are same. Are you following? So, with respect to electron density, the two protons present in the CH2 groups are same. That means the two protons of CH2, that is the first proton, electron density become equal to second proton. These two protons are same. Coming to CH3 group, whatever the three protons present in the CH3 group, all are equal with respect to electron density. Electron density of first proton, second proton, third proton are same in the CH3 group. So all these three become one group. Is it clear? Now, the two protons of CH2 are different from CH3 protons. However, both are protons, but the two protons of CH2 are different from the three protons of CH3 with respect to electron density. Is it clear? That is, now here the chlorine is present in the molecule. Chlorine exhibited a inductive effect. Where the CH2 is directly adjacent to chlorine, that is minus I effect group, the electron density around the two protons of CH2 is low, where the CH3 group is distant from the minus I affecting group. When compared to the CH2 protons, the CH3 protons has high electron density, So in between, comparison between these two groups, are you following? Comparison between these two groups with respect to electron density, these two groups are different, as the two protons of CH2 belongs to lower electron density, whereas the three protons of CH3 group belongs to higher electron density, as the electron density is withdrawn from the whole molecule by the chlorine atom, which is inductive affecting group, that is due to minus I effect, which decrease the electron density. The electron density decreasing order is B is greater than A. That means CH2 proton has lower electron density when compared with CH3 proton. Now, according to our relation, when electron density is low around the CH2 proton, it requires lower H0 value. When electron density is low, such nuclei require lower external magnetic field, therefore their absorption frequency is low. Whereas the protons of CH3, when compared with the CH2 proton, it has somewhat more electron density. Therefore, these protons require high magnetic field, external magnetic field, and absorbed higher frequency. The frequency of absorption is also more. That means in between the two protons, two groups of proton A and B, the CH3 proton absorbed higher frequency when compared with the CH2 proton. When compared with the CH2 proton. Are you following? No. So depending upon the electron density, a CH2 proton absorbed energy at low frequency value, whereas the CH3 proton absorbed energy at higher frequency value. Low electron density, low H0, lower frequency. High electron density, higher H0, higher frequency. We can write it as, say, H01, H02. So H01 is greater than H02. External magnetic field to be applied to CH3 is more when compared with the external magnetic field to be applied to CH2 because of electron density. Low electron density, lower magnetic field. Higher electron density, higher magnetic field is required. Therefore, absorption frequency is greater than absorption frequency. So the absorption frequency of CH3 group is greater when compared with the absorption frequency of CH2 group. So according to NMR principle, the absorption frequencies of a proton is directly proportional to the extent of external magnetic field which we are applied to the spinning nuclei. The extent of external magnetic field is further directly or depends upon the extent of electron density present around the protons. If electron density is more, absorption frequency is more. If electron density is less, absorption frequency is also less. So because of this phenomena, because the absorption frequencies are depends upon H0 to that of the electron densities, therefore in a molecule each and every set of proton absorbed energy at different frequencies. As we know, each and every set of protons in the molecules are differ with respect to electron densities. Therefore, each and every set of protons in a molecule absorbed energy at their own frequency values. Therefore, we will get n number of signals, n number of absorptions from each molecule. Is it clear? So this is about principle and the nature of spin active nuclei and the spin inactive nuclei, as well as the energies for each energy level of a spinning nuclei, and equation and the relation between the absorption frequency and external magnetic field. So with this today class I conclude my today's lecture. We will discuss in the second lecture about presentation of NMR spectrum and the other topics whatever the leftover in the syllabus. Thank you very much. So with this now I may provide a link of this video, this lecture, YouTube link of this lecture through a WhatsApp group which are prepared in the department, as well as whatever the topics which we are covered today's lecture, the notes related to this topic in a PDF format will be provided to you along with the link of video lecture through a WhatsApp group. You please thoroughly watch a video lecture and note down the notes whatever I provided to you till the end of completion of our topic, our proton NMR spectrum, and read well. Thank you very much.